let's get with the basics. Who are you and what do you specialize in?
Oh, well, hello. I'm Seppi Lehner. I am an archaeologist here at the University of Sydney. I am also the Tom Austin Brown Senior Lecturer in World Prehistory, a mouthful. I'm also Deputy Director of the Beer Gordon Child Center and having a ton of fun in that space. But yeah.
Yeah. So, how long have you been working in archaeology and at Sydney Uni?
Oh goodness, I'm going to age myself. I've been doing archaeology since I was an undergrad. In fact, my second year of undergrad, I cut my teeth in archaeology in the North American Arctic. I worked in Alaska for 2 years. And then as an undergrad, I eventually moved to Egypt, got Egyptology out of my bones, and started work in Anatolia when I was a senior undergraduate in the US. I did an honors thesis, and then went on to grad school, continuing work in Turkey. And yeah, that would be about 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
So, what interested you in becoming an archaeologist in the first place and then going into academia?
Well, there's a long answer and a short answer to this, but the short answer would be is that ever since I am definitely was one of those kids who, since the age of 4, wanted to be an archaeologist and just made it happen. So I had a lot of support, family and friends, and really, really important mentors and colleagues through the years to help make that happen. But what really sealed the deal was sort of spending a lot of time in travel and living and working with a variety of different communities all over the world. It really solidified my interest really in anthropology. And in North America, archaeology is anthropology. And that's the track that I really took. And going to Turkey, was a big part of that.
So, if I remember correctly, you were from the US, right?
Yeah.
Was archaeology, what state were you in? Or like,
I did my undergraduate at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, and focused on, let's say, complex societies. There was a big focus at that time in Madison. And I worked with my professor there, his name was Mark Knoyer, who worked in Pakistan and India quite a lot. And so my plans was actually to do a lot of work in South Asia. But my course took me into West Asia more than anything.
So, what made you so interested in prehistory societies in West Asia?
I think the diversity of cultures, of languages, of geologies, of environments in that area really drew me in the biggest way. Plus, of course, when you do a lot of your reading as an undergraduate and you learn about West Asian archaeology, there's so many of the big questions, the major, huge disciplinary problems that anthropology and archaeology faces, have really great case studies that come out of that area. Certainly not limited to West Asia. Globally, these are all big questions, but West Asia really, I think, had just really illuminating case studies and a duration of research that allowed big questions to be really tackled in in-depth ways.
Speaking of West Asia, do you have like a favorite site or something that really just draws you in all the time when you think about it?
Oh, there's so many. Having spent a lot of time in Turkey, I think a region that draws a lot of my own interest, just from the literature and the kind of research, is the entirety really of southeastern Anatolia, or what would be northern Mesopotamia, northern Syria, southern Anatolia, because you have an area there where, through the course of time, what we know in the Holocene, there's a huge diversity of people and different sites that were produced from what's now called Taş Tepeler, from Göbekli Tepe, and all of those important sites in modern-day Urfa, to other Neolithic sites along the Tigris River. And I was really drawn to how those societies were really interfaced with highland environments. So all these places show that, with the incredible evidence of ceremony and ritual tied with the everyday social. It was really, really interesting to me, and still is.
Speaking of Göbekli Tepe, have you been there, done stuff at the site, or?
I've never worked in that region, in Urfa in the Seppi region, but I have visited, of course. We have many colleagues that work there. It's fabulous. It's a great place to visit, and I highly recommend others who do want to travel in the area to go and visit. It's fabulous.
So, obviously, we have a whole lot of technology here. What do you see like happening in the field of archaeology as future technologies like created? Do you think we'll have like better ways of surveying sites and all that sort of things, or what do you see for the future of?
Definitely. I mean, archaeology as a discipline has always interfaced with technological advancements, and in many ways, archaeology has been part of innovations in technology. We rely heavily on remote sensing technologies, both those from satellite technologies to more aerial sort of approaches with drones or helicopters or balloons, to subsurface technologies as well, using different kind of techniques to understand anomalies that are below the surface. And so far as a lot of these technologies are being developed, archaeologists, I think, will continue to work with innovators in that field and indeed innovate their own technologies that help us really answer questions that are privy to the research that we're interested in.
Well, since we have some technology here, mind maybe showing off some of it. For example, what's this? The big yellow thing here.
I would be happy to. So here at the University of Sydney, we've recently really upgraded a lot of our technological capacity in remote sensing in particular. And so I wanted to highlight a little bit of what we do have available for researchers here and for collaborators abroad. I think one of the most important bits of kit that we've recently acquired include this sort of this larger drone here. This is a DJI M350. It can carry a 2.5 kilo payload, which is a lot. It's a very, very small baby. And one of the things that it can carry, and the whole reason we've even gotten this thing, was this instrument right here, which is a real high resolution LiDAR scanner that allows us to do pretty extensive aerial survey over terrains that are heavily canopied to understand terrains that are below canopies. It's one of the kinds of research questions that we can ask. But this kind of equipment allows us to get a three-dimensional understanding of different terrains and landscapes pretty quickly. It's a fabulous piece of equipment. We're very happy to be able to use.
So, for example, this would have been used by people in the Amazon when they're trying to find those cities.
That's it, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of research like that with sensors that were like aerial LiDAR that was put onto airplanes in particular have mapped out a lot of areas in the Amazon or in Central America as well, places in Southeast Asia, and even here in Australia to look at what heritage sites look like below canopies, and discovered amazing spatial patterns of human social organization and landesque capital over the course of time. It was a real critical piece of equipment. What's cool about what we have here is that this fits on a UAV, on a drone, so we no longer have to fly this equipment on airplanes. We can fly aircraft remotely and get real precise, dense data that way.
And speaking of technology still, what's this thing?
This right here?
Yes, this one.
So this right here is it's just it's a GNSS antenna. So it's part of what a lot of people call like a GPS or so on and so forth. This basically allows us to position a lot of our work within a couple of centimeter accuracy globally. So it's a high-tech antenna that allows us to correct LiDAR or other sort of flights or even pedestrian survey, and making sure that our geospatial accuracies are really, really tight within a couple of centimeters when we're mapping. So we can use this from survey to flights and even down into excavation.
Fascinating. And so what are what's the black and orange thing?
So there's a bunch of other things here. Yeah, so we have here, this is a fun bit. This right here is which originated as a kind of camera for a UAV.
Oh, wow.
This is a camera that has it's 10 separate cameras. So it's a 10-band multispectral camera. So it captures, like a normal camera, it captures light information, but not just the visible light, but also light in the near infrared. So it's invisible to humans. And this allows us to map a lot of different kinds of things archaeologically that would have let's just say a really good signature in all these different bands. It allows us to control that. So in the near infrared, we can measure out patterns in vegetation, to differences in soil composition, and so on and so forth. This can fly on one of the drones, and you can also, with thanks to the Australian Centre for Robotics here at the University of Sydney, we've also turned it into a handheld camera. So we can do the same kind of research on rock art or any other sort of terrain that a drone can't access. It's a really great piece of equipment, super high tech, and really unique to our laboratory. We're happy to have it.
Yeah. So continuing on with future technology, this one's a bit more broad for the arts, but with the rise of AI, how do you see it impacting archaeology? Can it be used for good? Since obviously I know the Herculaneum scrolls, they've been deciphered using like AI, but that's not the same as like ChatGPT. That's machine learning and all that stuff. So what do you think of this?
So AI technologies have been around for a while.
Yeah.
And machine learning techniques or algorithms have also been around for a while. The novelty of resources like ChatGPT and so on and so forth are the large language models that allow you to use just human language to query a number of different kinds of things. It is a revolutionary technology, and like any technology, it has its benefits and it has its costs. The costs are significant, right? It has a huge environmental footprint. It has it changes how we access knowledge. It changes the importance of the quality of knowledge as we understand it. There's a lot of issues there. But some technologies like AI, when used for good purposes, with morally informed choices in how we do research, it also can be quite powerful. We can use AI technologies to improve computation, to improve detection, to potentially even ask totally novel questions about material culture or data more generally, as long as it's digital, just to ask entirely new questions. And so it has a lot of problems. It has some benefits as well, and it's up to us as researchers and how we use it and how we disclose our use of AI. It's a real critical piece of tech. It's here. It's not going away, and we need to be careful how we use it.
Yeah. And so just before we get on to the last one, you have a bit of a focus on mining and metallurgy.
Oh, yeah.
How did that start? You just coins and all that, or just metal in general?
No, again, as an undergraduate, I worked in a laboratory for archaeological chemistry. It started out as an undergraduate class that I took. And one of the experiments that we conducted involved actually measuring isotopes of lead out of leaded glass. And this is what brought me to metallurgy in a lot of ways. But it turns out that those isotopes in leaded glass, the same glass that fancy folks will drink their wine out of, are actually drinking in a lot of lead. And we wanted to figure out where the leaded glass was being made for whatever reason. And so you can use lead isotopes to do provenance analysis to figure out where the lead was coming from. So it's a technique that's known in pollution studies, in geological provenance, and in archaeological provenance. That took me into metallurgy, because as I learned to improve this technique, but also to understand the bigger, more human-focused questions, mining and metallurgy was one of the greatest ways of getting at human societies from a technological point of view, from my own background in Anatolia in particular, because it's such a complex craft. It involves so many different individuals with different sets of knowledge. And metals, crystallize a lot of those decisions over time. So it gets us a sort of window into economy. It gets us a window into social organization, ritual, and belief in ways that a lot of materials just can't encode very well. It's fascinating. And it's also fascinating from another way of just how human ingenuity came to be to figure out how what is often seen as a kind of magical process of going from rocks to something that's shiny and ductile and a totally different kind of material. That's fascinating in its own right. And figuring out where that happened and how its relationship with societies in West Asia in particular kind of happened was a kind of natural progression. Starting as an undergrad, measuring subtle differences between a couple of isotopes of lead, to then breaking that out into landscapes and objects and museum-based research to actual excavation and survey.
Well, let's get on to the final question. Thank you so much for being here with us today. But what advice would you give to younger archaeologists about working in the discipline and finding their niche?
A great question. One is to, I would say, follow your dreams more than anything, because that's a very powerful thing. The other thing is to find really good mentors, communities that will support you along the way on that journey. 3 is to be morally fearless and put yourself out there. Talk to people, travel, see the world if you can, but also experience archaeology locally. Probably one of the most powerful things you can do. I think we're all very interested in West Asia or the classical world or maybe East Asia, ancient China, and so on and so forth, where here, even in Sydney, there's such a rich archaeological history and background and understanding what's happening here. So knowing all of that and being excited to know all of that is really critical. And I think above all, read. Read, and never stop reading, because there's a lot to know and you'll never know it all. But reading and research starts at any age. And I think that's that. There's probably a lot more, a lot more advice, but those are big ones that I would say.
Well, thank you for the time, and you've been a real big help for the restart of ArchSoc, so I'm really glad to have you on here.
Well, thank you, Xavier. Yeah, and it's great. I'm glad that ArchSoc's around. It's a great institution, great group of folks, and happy to work with everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Xavier.